For 600 years, a single book has taunted the world's greatest minds. It's often called the book that shouldn't exist. Today, it sits quietly in Yale University's Voynich Rare Book and Manuscript Library, an unassuming volume of about 240 vellum pages. It's not large, roughly the size of a modern paperback, but within its calfskin covers lies a universe of utter bewilderment. It's filled with impossible plants you won't find on Earth, strange astronomical charts of unknown constellations, and most maddening of all, a language that no one can read. Not the brilliant cryptographers of World War II, not even the most advanced artificial intelligence of our time. This is the story of the Voynich Manuscript, the book that has refused to give up its secrets. It's a puzzle box locked for 6 centuries, an intellectual black hole that has swallowed theories, reputations, and entire careers. And today, we're going to turn its pages to explore the bizarre illustrations, the uncrackable code, and the shadowy history of what has rightly been called the world's most mysterious manuscript. The discovery and the hoax question. Our modern journey with this enigma begins in 1912. A Polish-American rare book dealer named Wilfred Voynich, a man with a flair for the dramatic and an eye for the priceless, was on a purchasing trip in Italy. At the Jesuit college at Frascati, a villa near Rome, he stumbled upon a collection of ancient manuscripts. Among them was one that immediately struck him as unique. It was a small codex, its pages filled with a flowing, elegant script and vibrant, hand-colored illustrations unlike anything he had ever seen. He purchased it, and from that moment on, the manuscript would bear his name and become his life's obsession. Voynich was convinced he'd found a lost work of immense scientific importance, maybe even a secret cipher by the 13th century friar, Roger Bacon. This idea was fueled by a letter he found tucked inside the book, dated 1665, which also mentioned Bacon as a possible author. Voynich toured the book, claiming it held the secrets to medieval magic and scientific discoveries far beyond its time. But as years turned into decades and nobody could decipher a single word, a powerful suspicion began to grow. Was it all just a hoax? An elaborate, meaningless forgery created by Voynich himself to sell for a fortune? It's a compelling idea. A book dealer creates the ultimate mystery book, a perfect puzzle with no solution because there's nothing to solve. It seemed plausible, a brilliant scam for the ages. For nearly a century, that cloud of doubt hung over the manuscript. Then, in 2009, science intervened. Researchers at the University of Arizona were given permission to perform radiocarbon dating on small samples of the vellum pages. This process measures the decay of carbon-14 in organic materials, in this case, the calfskin, to determine their age. The results were unambiguous and shattered the hoax theory. The vellum was dated with 95% confidence to a period between 1404 and 1438. Further analysis of the inks and paints confirmed they were made from materials you'd expect to see in the early 15th century. Wilfred Voynich couldn't have faked it. This book was no modern forgery. It was a genuine 600-year-old artifact. The mystery was no longer if the book was real, but what it was. The carbon dating didn't solve the enigma, it made it even deeper, transforming the manuscript from a potential fraud into a true, profound historical puzzle. The journey through time, the provenance. With the manuscript confirmed as a 15th century artifact, its history became a critical line of investigation. Who could have created such a bizarre object, and who wrestled with it before Wilfred Voynich? Tracing its ownership, its provenance, reveals a chain of mystics, scholars, and emperors, each as fascinated and frustrated as the last. The trail gets solid in the 17th century in Prague, a known hub for alchemy and esoteric studies. The first confirmed owner we know of was Georg Baresch, an alchemist in the city. Baruch was completely baffled by the book, calling it a sphinx that sat uselessly in his library. In 1639, he wrote to a Jesuit scholar in Rome, Athanasius Kircher, who had famously claimed to have deciphered Egyptian hieroglyphs. Baruch sent copies of the script, begging Kircher for help. This letter is the earliest definitive proof we have of the manuscript's existence. After Baruch's death, the book passed to his friend Johannes Marcus Marci, a doctor and scientist from Prague. Marci, getting nowhere with it, sent the book itself to Kircher around 1665. It was Marci's letter, tucked inside the book, that Voynich would later discover. In it, Marci shared the book's history as he knew it, mentioning a tantalizing, even more prestigious former owner, the Holy Roman Emperor Rudolph II. Emperor Rudolph II, who reigned from 1576 to 1612, was a passionate collector of the occult and the strange. His court in Prague was a magnet for alchemists and astrologers. According to Marci's letter, Rudolph II bought the manuscript for the massive sum of 600 gold ducats, believing it was the work of Roger Bacon. So where did Rudolph get it? The trail gets murky here, but many signs point to one of the most famous figures in English occult history, John Dee. Dee, Queen Elizabeth I's court astrologer, traveled to Bohemia in the 1580s. Records show Dee owned many Roger Bacon manuscripts, and his son even mentioned his father possessing a mysterious book filled with hieroglyphics that he couldn't understand. The theory is that Dee, maybe needing the cash, sold the manuscript to the emperor. After Kircher received the book, it seems to have been swallowed by the vast archives of the Jesuit college in Rome, where it vanished for over 200 years. It likely sat on a shelf until political turmoil in Italy forced the Jesuits to sell off some assets. That's how it ended up in the Villa Mondragone, where Wilfrid Voynich would finally rediscover it. From an emperor's court to a Jesuit library, the manuscript passed through the hands of some of Europe's most curious minds, none of whom could unlock its door. In 1969, it was donated to Yale University's Beinecke Library, where it resides today, its long journey finally over, though its secrets are as elusive as ever. Inside the enigma, the thematic sections, to really get the strangeness of the Voynich manuscript, you have to look inside. The book isn't just unreadable text, it's a visual spectacle of the bizarre. Scholars have divided its contents into roughly 6 sections based on the illustrations, each one more puzzling than the last. The first and biggest section is the herbal or botanical section. Almost every page features a large, detailed drawing of a plant. But here's the problem. Most of these plants are unidentifiable. They aren't known to botany. They're chimeras, fantastical creations that seem to blend parts of different real plants or are just completely made up. Some have roots that twist into intricate knots, almost like animal figures. They're drawn with such a confident hand, as if the artist was depicting something real, yet they match nothing in the known natural world. This has led to endless speculation. Are they plants from an undiscovered land, extinct species, or maybe not plants at all, but alchemical symbols? Next up is the astronomical and astrological section. Here, the pages are filled with complex circular diagrams and fold-out charts. We see suns and moons with human faces, stars clustered in unfamiliar patterns, and symbols of the zodiac. There's a ram for Aries and a bull for Taurus, but they're often surrounded by rings of nude figures, each holding a star. The pages seem to connect the heavens to human life, a common theme back then, but the specific cosmology shown doesn't match any known European or Eastern systems. Perhaps the most famous section is the balneological one, from the Latin for baths. These pages are filled with drawings of small, naked female figures, most with swollen abdomens. They're shown wading in pools of green or blue liquid, or interacting with a baffling network of pipes and organic-looking vessels. It looks like a strange mix of Biology and mechanics. Theories here are all over the place. Some think it's a text on women's health or gynecology. Others see alchemical symbolism, representing purification. Some even suggest it's a very strange bathing manual. After that comes a cosmological section, with mysterious map-like drawings that could be islands, causeways, or even cellular structures. This is followed by the pharmaceutical section, which looks like a catalogue of medicinal ingredients, featuring drawings of plant parts next to apothecary jars. Finally, the manuscript ends with a dense section of pure text, with no major illustrations, just small star-like flowers in the margins marking different entries. Taken as a whole, the illustrations point to a work of science or medicine. But it's a vision of science from another world, operating on principles alien to our own. The unbreakable code, the language. While the illustrations are baffling, the real mystery is the script itself, a language now called Voynich. It flows from left to right in a graceful, consistent hand. In fact, there's debate over how many people wrote it. Early analysis suggested 2 distinct scribes, but more recent work proposes there could have been as many as 5, all writing in the same unknown script. The alphabet seems to have 20 to 25 distinct characters made of simple strokes. There are clear word divisions and paragraphs. On the surface, it has all the signs of a real, working language, and that's what makes it so maddening. Statistical analysis, a key tool for codebreakers, shows that Voynich follows certain linguistic rules. For example, it follows Zipf's law, a principle that says in any natural language, the most frequent word appears about twice as often as the second most frequent, and so on. Voynich fits this pattern. Its entropy, a measure of randomness, is also similar to real languages. It doesn't look like gibberish, and yet it has defied every attempt at translation. William Friedman, the legendary cryptographer who led the team that broke Japan's purple cipher in World War II, spent years on the manuscript. He and his team never cracked it. Friedman ultimately concluded it was probably an early attempt at an artificial language, like a 15th century Esperanto. In the modern era, AI has been thrown at the problem. In 2018, researchers at the University of Alberta used AI to analyze the text, suggesting the underlying language was Hebrew and the text was scrambled with an anagram-style cipher. This caused a lot of excitement, but when they tried to translate a sentence, the result was largely incoherent. She made recommendations to the priest, man of the house, and me, and people. The breakthrough fizzled as other scholars pointed out flaws in the method, and the translation remains widely disputed. The failures are legendary. Dozens of solutions have been announced, claiming it was everything from a lost Ukrainian dialect to an ancient Aztec language. Every single one has been debunked or has faded away under academic scrutiny. The text of the Voynich manuscript remains a silent, stubborn sphinx, holding a secret language it refuses to share. The realm of theories. With no translation, we're left with theories. And the theories are as wild as the book itself, but they generally fall into a few key categories. The most mainstream theory is that it's a medical or scientific text. This lines up with the illustrations. The herbal section could be a pharmacopoeia, a guide to medicinal plants. The weird look of the plants could be due to stylized drawing, or maybe they're symbolic. The bathing section could be a guide to therapeutic bathing and women's health. In this view, the text is a real language hidden by a very complex cipher, maybe to protect knowledge the Church might have considered heretical. The second major theory is that it's a hoax. The carbon dating proves it's a 15th century object, but that doesn't prove the text means anything. This wouldn't be a modern hoax, but an ancient one. The idea is that a clever con artist in the 1400s created a fake book to sell to a rich, gullible patron, someone just like Emperor Rudolph II. The main argument against this is the book's complexity. The text follows subtle linguistic patterns like Zipf's law, which would have been unknown to a 15th century forger. Why create such a sophisticated fake? A third school of thought suggests it's a work of glossolalia, or outsider art. Glossolalia is speaking in tongues, producing fluent but incomprehensible speech, often in a religious state. Maybe the author was channeling what they believed was a divine language. In this view, the book has no literal meaning because it was never meant to. It's the record of a spiritual or psychological experience. Finally, there are the more fringe theories. Some have suggested the book is of extraterrestrial origin, a manual left by alien visitors. Others have proposed it's a text from a parallel dimension that somehow crossed into ours. While these ideas are outside of academic research, they speak to the profound power of the manuscript. When a mystery is this deep, our imagination is drawn to the extraordinary. Each of these theories has its fans and its critics, and the debate rages on. The manuscript is a perfect mirror. What people see in it often reflects their own expertise, whether that's linguistics, botany, or cryptography. So, what do you think? Is it a coded medical text, a brilliant 600-year-old con, or something else entirely? Let us know your theory in the comments below. And if you find mysteries like this as fascinating as we do, be sure to like and subscribe for more journeys into the unknown, the enduring mystery. So, after all this, what do we actually know for sure? We know the Voynich Manuscript is a physical object made in the early 15th century. We know it passed through the hands of alchemists, emperors, and scholars. We know its text has patterns that suggest it's more than just random scribbles. And we know that for all our modern technology, we are no closer to reading it than Georg Baresch was in his Prague library 400 years ago. The manuscript has become more than just a book. It's a symbol of the limits of human understanding, a testament to the fact that there are still locked rooms in our history. It taunts us with the possibility of lost knowledge, a forgotten language, a secret science, or a hidden history. The quest to decode the Voynich Manuscript continues. At Yale, it's one of the most requested items, and high-resolution digital scans are online, allowing a global community of sleuths to try and crack the code. One day, someone might find the key. But until then, the Voynich Manuscript remains what it has been for 600 years, the ultimate intellectual challenge, a beautiful, bizarre, and utterly silent mystery. And perhaps in a world where so much is known and explained, there is a special value in a secret that refuses to be told.